Hello everyone, in another RxJava free tutorial. In today's short video, we'll answer the questions: what is the hot observable, what is the cold observable, and what are the differences between these two. So let's start maybe with the cold observable. When we call some observable cold? Well, basically we call observable cold in case each observer which subscribes to such observable receives all the data emitted by this observable. Let's see this in practice in code. So I created some method called COLD Observable example, which shows basically this COLD Observable case. Let's run that. As you can see, I have observable created which emits A, B, C strings, and I also created 3 subscribers, subscriber number 1, 2, and 3, and all of these subscribers of course subscribe to our observable. And the thing is that when, for example, second subscriber subscribe to our observable, it still emits all the data despite that data was already consumed by the previous observer. So this is basically all about cold observable. Each subscriber gets all the data emitted by the observable. So now we know what is the cold observable, let's discuss hot observable. Well, basically, hot observable doesn't repeat emissions of all items to observers which subscribe to this observable, but rather any new observer gets emissions only from point from which it subscribed to this hot observable. I know, sounds a bit confusing, but I found also some good example, real world example on the internet. So we have some analogy here. And basically imagine that there is some room, and in this room there is a radio. This radio represents our hot observable, and there is a person in this room. And this person listens to the radio, for example, to some songs. And after the 10 songs emitted from our radio, from our quote-unquote hot observable, another person enters the room. And of course, naturally, this person cannot hear the songs which were played before this person entered the room. And this is very good example of hot observable. So from the beginning, our radio represents hot observable. First person in the room represents observer number 1. He hears all the songs. And there is another person who enters the room after some time, and this is observer number 2. And as I said, this second person only hears the song from the point from which he or she entered the room. Now let's see this in practice. So I created some method here, and let's go line by line so you can understand what is going on here. So first thing, I'm creating hot observable using integral factory method and publish method. And what publish does, it basically transforms any normal cold observable into hot observable. And it returns connectable observable, which again is kind of hot observable. And as you can see, my hot observable emits items every second. Then I have connect method. And what it does, it basically means that our hot observable will start emitting items. Without this, for example, if I have this commented out, without this, our hot observable will not start emitting items. Even we have some subscriptions, right? So we are accustomed to the situation when our observable starts emitting item when there is some subscription. And this is the case for cold observable. But in case hot observable, this is different. And there are many scenarios for that. For example, I don't know, you can have some use case in your program that your hot observable, your source, will emit items only in case you have, for example, 10 subscribers. And even some real world example. Let's say that there is a cinema, and this cinema have of course some rooms, and in one of the room there is a movie about to be played. And of course you don't want to show movie for one person, which let's say is our subscriber, and the movie is our hot observable itself. But of course you want to wait for the full room, and when you have full room, you can call connect method. Later I have our two subscribers, subscriber number 1, subscriber number 2, and between this I have thread sleep invocation, and basically this is only for purposes that show you how COLD Observable behaves. Okay, let's start with this COLD Observable and run this example. As you can see, our observer number 1 receives the items, and starting from second 5 actually, our observer 2 starts receiving items. And as you can see, our observer number 2 doesn't have previous emissions, so it doesn't have second 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0. It has only emissions after this 5 seconds passed and when it subscribed to the COLD Observable. Okay guys, so I hope you now know what is the difference between COLD Observable and COLD Observable. I hope that you understand this thing, and thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye.